Hi guys, Ryu here with another tutorial for Blender, and today we're gonna talk about Decal Machine and Geo Decals. Now, first thing I want to say is that if you don't have a patience, go do some gardening. Seriously, it's not for you, okay? Decals require a lot of patience and a lot of time. If you wanna create good stuff, that you can't take shortcuts in this game, alright? So with that said, let's get started. Now this is a decal I created earlier today, just for fun. It's a subset decal, which means it's created from two elements. I'll show you how to, create cool elements and make it look clean, like this, okay? Alright, so let's create a plane, and let's first of all move cursor to origin and our plane to cursor. Now let's go to normal mode. Now I'll show you first, because there are two different types of geo decals, okay? Well, actually there are more of them, but I'm gonna show you just subset and simple. There's also a decal type called panels, and these are created from edges, but that's not for today's video, okay? So we're gonna do simple and subset. Now simple decals consist of one geometry, which is a whole piece. There are no other elements to it, right? So the most important thing when you create decals with Decal Machine is that once you place your plane, right, in the middle of a scene, and you do need to start with a plane. That's important. Cannot be a circle, cannot be anything else, gotta be a plane. And this plane, whatever you do not touch it, okay? You do not move it, you do not move the origin point, because the origin point and the plane, they gotta be flat, okay? They're gonna be at the same spot. They're gonna just don't leave them alone, don't touch them, all right? And everything's gonna be good. Now let's have some fun with it. So let's inset it, right? And let's extrude it down, scale it just a little bit. And now everything you do, you need to do it manually. You can't, for example, use hard ops bevels, because this is gonna mess things up, okay? You need to do bevels manually, and there's a specific way of creating those bevels, right? You can't just do it willy-nilly. So let's symmetrize it across first of all, because I want to create this edge in the middle, okay? And the reason for it is because I want to remove these diagonal edges over there. So I'm going to press F and symmetrize it again, so these edges are gone. Right now I'm going to grab these edges, okay, and bevel them. And be generous with the bevel. Don't do stuff like this, because you're gonna get faceted looks, okay? You gotta be really generous with bevels, and by generous I mean fucking generous, okay? Just go as crazy as you can. This is not about geo count, this is about being smooth, okay? So really these bevels gotta be like crazy smooth, okay? Now this is our base, so we don't move this, and this plane is gonna be the floating plane of a decal, okay? This is going to determine the ground for the decal, okay? So literally, I'm telling you again, do not move this plane. Now let's extrude the middle, so let's combine them together, and let's go I and inset it, and let's extrude it, scale it, and maybe bevel it. Now you don't want to go too high, because when you want to go high, just don't go too crazy, don't go really crazy, because this will not work, especially with parallax, okay? Parallax effect, which means the height effect, works best when it's actually the decals go deep into the mesh, okay? So let me show you what I mean. I'm just gonna apply one of my decals. Okay, let's grab this one, right? This one actually sticks out, so it's a good example. So let me show you. See, now if you go too crazy up, it's just really difficult to make it stick out visually and at the same time be really clean. So you see this decal is really clean, right? It's a clean shading. But if I go to DE and I'm start playing with parallax, you can see that stretching starts to appear. So you really need to be gentle with it, okay? Especially when they're complex and they have a lot of tiny details, right? So now let's go back here and go back to our solid view. And let's keep having fun with it. We can actually make some cuts. You can use, you know, box cutter for cuts, right? That's fine. It's not a big problem. Just don't use bevels, and do not use, you know, stuff like, for example, weighted normals. I would not recommend weighted normals. Let me see that. Preserve this one. Right, so now the same with cuts, okay? If you're gonna go cuts, always look at the bottom of the screen with box cutter. When you increase the number of, you know, verts in a circle, really, seriously, be generous. Don't be stingy with it, because this, you know, this stuff is not a joke, okay? You gotta be as smooth as possible, otherwise it's gonna look like shit. So let's apply this, and let's remove this cutter. Let's actually extrude it down and put a face on it. Now, very important thing. What the hell? Let's do it again. There we go. Now, very important thing. You need to run all the edges. They need to be parallel to the bevels, okay? So in this case, we want to run it across, okay? C to cut it, and the same thing across here, okay? So actually, you know what? We're gonna copy it, so don't worry about it yet. And remove this bevel. Everything needs to be precise and, you know, literally mathematically anal, okay? You can't fuck about in here, because any mistake and shading is gonna go to shit. And I'm not joking. So let's grab this bevel here, and let's actually let's grab another one here. Bevels are really good. They make things look smooth, and hard edges look awful in decals. So you really want to, you know, get those bevels going if you can. Let's make a chamfer, and maybe insert it in, and then insert it one more time, and then GZ, and sort of do something like this. That's cool. And we going to grab these edges, mark them as sharp. And by the way, my sharp is set to apply and B weight, okay, these only. So Control B and bevel these. And this one the same, just mark and Control B and bevel it. That's cool. And this is beveled, and this one needs to be beveled too. You don't need the sharp edge over there, really, that's okay. We're fine. Now I'm going to copy this, okay? So I'm going to symmetrize it, holding Shift to all the edges, and then I'll remove these things, okay? You don't need this, okay? So let's just remove all of these. We don't need them. We just need these. So now you see we got the connection. You need to check the connection. As the connection is messed up, we need to fix it. So let's run an edge from here to here by pressing J, and let's remove this entire edge, okay? You really have to be, you know, very precise with it. And let's copy this again, and then we need to remove the middle line, okay? And we should be fine. We should be fine. We should be fine. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually run a sharp edge around here. Do not sharpen the external part of the plane, okay? Internal is fine. External, I wouldn't recommend it. In fact, yeah, I think we can sharpen this one. I think we can sharpen this one. This should be fine. All right. Okay, let's try and bake it. Now, baking. You click on the decal and you go to machine, decal machine panel. And now you're going to have automatically, decal machine will tell you what type of decal it is, simple or subset. It's a simple decal because it's only one object. These settings. Now listen very carefully, yeah? If you want to create decals that are actually really looking nice, you need to go with the maximum quality. I always go, especially with the resolution. Anti-aliasing is not so important, but resolution is crucial. Not important, is crucial. And let me show you the difference, okay? These decals, right, are decals that come with Decal Machine. They're created by a machine, so the creator of the decals, right? Let me show you the size difference. So this is a decal that comes with Decal Machine, and this is decal that are created, okay? And let me show you difference in quality. Now, machines decals are really good, but the resolution is simply not good enough for me. So, you know, if you want to use them, you can, but they just fall apart. You see that? Look at this decal. It's just clean. And that's what you want. You want quality. You want to spend time on it, okay? Don't go cheap on decals, because, you know, they last forever, right? So set this shit to maximum. And then you can mess up with AO and contrast. I really don't. Now, I would leave this alone. Now, this is important. If your decal is actually really tall, which means exceeds the height of 1 in bevel units, you might want to go higher. But to be honest, I don't think you need to go that far. And to be honest, I never really messed with this. I just don't need to. So I leave literally everything as is. The only thing I'm changing is the resolution and the anti-aliasing, okay? And then what you do is you click on it and you create simple decal. This will take time, because creating decals at these settings takes a really long time. It's, you know, in my system it's like probably a minute or two, and I'm running really powerful system, okay? So it depends on the complexity of a decal and of course your machine. But trust me, you really want these settings, okay? Now, if you try to create a decal and you're not sure if the shading is good and everything is correct, then you can run lower settings, like maybe 512 or even 256. But when you bake in the final decal, you do want to go with the max settings, okay? Otherwise you're gonna end up with shit. So I'll catch you in a minute when I'm gonna bake that thing. It took about 2.5 minutes to bake this little guy. So let's grab him. So make sure you grab the top of it, right? Just the decal. And the best way to test decals is on a sphere. So what you want to do is, if you have hard ups, you go and create quad sphere, right? And you simply slap matte on it and you shade it smooth and you're done. So, you know, you want something shiny, reflective and round, because these surfaces are usually unforgiving. So grab this decal and Control G, place it on the mesh. You can scale it with S, and then press D, and you can project it. You know, you can adjust it if you want, but basically what we want is project it. But don't project it like that. Project it with Alt. So hold Alt, project, move your mouse up and project it then. The projection is much more accurate this way. And then adjust it with, you know, with D. And now, let's see. You see this here? You see these shading issues? And I'll tell you what's the problem. Look at that. It looks like crap, right? It's fine here, but in the middle it just looks like junk. And let me show you why it is. Now the reason for it is very simple, okay? The reason for it is that we simply did not make these edges sharp. So what I would do normally, and that's really important to remember, to select these faces and, you know, remove these edges, because we don't want these to be sharp, and then simply sharpen it up. And now we should be fine. Let me see. Let's sharpen this one as well. Sharpen this. Right. You really need to make sure that everything is peachy before you can. Let's sharpen this one as well. And then this one is already sharpened, but we can actually bevel it just to make it a little bit more round, because light still gets there. And now we should be fine. So let's check it again. We should sharpen these ones as well. Okay. And again, you gotta do everything manually, right? Do not use hard ups like bevels and stuff. Just go manual, full manual. We could, you know, we could sharpen these ones. It's not really necessary, but, you know, just to be thorough, we can just, you know, do that too. I can't be bothered to mirror this, so I'm just gonna simply select these edges and sharpen them. Make sure you select the right one, so not the one in the middle, the inner edge, but actually the outer edge, okay? So let's double check if we got the correct edge in here. Yes, we did. So let's just simply sharpen them, and now we should be fine. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna rebake it, okay? So again, create simple decal. And now you bake that thing until it's perfect, okay? Because I recently bought a decal pack. I'm not gonna show it because it's not a good practice, you know. But I bought a decal pack for like $7 on Gumroad, and you know, they look alright. They were just bolts and stuff, and I thought, you know, I just can't be bothered creating simple decals like this. I'm just gonna buy it, and the quality is rubbish. The shading is fucked, okay? And because the person who made them is just lazy, you know, he's just lazy. That's it, or they didn't know how to do it properly. But I'm just betting on lazy, because they just went full on add-on stuff and, you know, just dropped maybe hard ups bevels on it and you know, and so on. Didn't take care of the shading. And then, you know, they look fine from afar, but when you add the angle on the reflective surface, you can see that shading breaks all over the place. So when you create decals, the most important part is to have perfect shading all round. Because when you start adding parallax effect to it, and you start, you know, dropping decals on the reflective surface, it's just gonna look like dog breakfast, okay? So when you want to get into creating decals, you make sure that you have a lot of patience and a lot of time. Because some of my decals took me, you know, more than 2 hours or 3 hours to create, right? It really takes time. So anyway, I'll catch you in a minute when I'm gonna finish baking that thing. Alright guys, here we go, let's check it out. Let's grab this plane. In fact, you know, you could Shift D it, so I'll explain why. So one is here, and we copied it in here, because I have this feeling that this one's gonna be alright. So let's project it, and then, you know, adjust it a little bit with Shift, and go to shading mode, and let's see how it looks. Now you see, now it's clean. See what I mean? Look at this. It's baby-ass clean, okay? And that is how you want your decals to look, okay? Now, before you save it to the folder, right, what you can do is adjust the parallax effect, and it will adjust for both of them. So watch this and this, right? Now, if I click on this decal and go to DE, right? So I'm gonna go here, adjust and E, and now watch, both of them gonna work, you see. Now scroll it up to the minimum, which means completely flat. This is maximum, this is flat, and start adjusting it until you see a geo being pulled. So zoom in really closely and go adjust E and zoom it, you scroll it up, so parallax, you know, at the minimum, and then start pulling it down. And when you start seeing pulling like this, you're going too far. So, you know, you want to go deep, but not too deep. And that will ensure that decal's gonna look beautiful. See now? Look at that. Look how clean this is. See what I mean? And that is how you create decals, okay? So I don't want to see any shit on Gumroad, okay? I want to see nice, clean decals over there if you're gonna put it on sale. Because that's just not good practice. And the angles here, they're caused by the sphere, which is not simply being subdivided enough. So let's subdivide it some more, okay? And let's reapply this decal. Let's see if it's gonna help. Reapply it. Nope, we're gonna do it again. So we're gonna grab this decal and let's apply it again. So Shift D, and let's apply it on this sphere, project it, and everything should be fine. And now it's smooth, you see. So make sure your decals are actually lying on a smooth surface, otherwise you're gonna have a bad day. But look at this, okay? This is smooth, okay? So that's how it's done. Now, what you need to do is save it, right? So you might want to have a separate folder. So you go to Preferences and you go to Decal Machine under add-ons, okay? So you type decal here and you go all the way down, and then here you need to type a name of the folder. I already have a YouTube tutorial, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. And then once you do that, new folder is gonna get added, okay? So you type a name and press enter, it's gonna get added, and then you need to refresh it, okay? Refresh Decal Machine and save preferences. So it's actually gonna load it into this decal window, and I have it in here. Now you select the top decal. See, that's why we copied it, because you cannot actually add it to the library from here. It needs to be added from the position where it was created. So once you create it, do not move it, okay? Just leave it be. So my decal is here, right? I'm going to grab this YouTube 2 folder and simply add decal to library. And now I can recall it from my library. So if I go here, I can recall it from there. And this is how you create and add decals to your library, okay? Now this is a simple decal, okay? That's important to note. In the next video, in part 2, probably tomorrow, I'll show you how to create complex decals, okay? Decals that actually inherit more than one material. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I drop a decal in here, something from my library, let's grab this one, okay? That's a good example, right? So let's drop it on, okay? And now watch this. I can actually change not just one color, okay, but 2. And these are subset decals, okay? So that's the difference between simple decal and subset decal, okay? So next vid's gonna be on subset decals, when we're gonna dive into creating something more complex. And trust me, these guys are way more complicated than this simple decals, okay? They just cause more problems in terms of shading and so on. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the vid. Give me a sub and like if it did. Now if you do not have Decal Machine, I'm leaving a link to Decal Machine, Mesh Machine, and also Hardops and Box Cutter add-ons in the video description. So if you buy it through that link, you're gonna help me as well, which is appreciated. That's all for this vid guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.